Show. So for my very first guest of this week is this sensational singer who was on The Voice in 2021 called Raine Stern. So I'm about to add Raine into the live now and have a chat with Raine.
I get so lost inside your eyes. What would you believe in? No, you don't have to say you love me. You don't have to say nothing. You don't have to say you're mine. Honey, I walk through fire for you. Just let me adore you. Oh, honey, I walk through fire for you. And just let me adore you. Like it's the only thing I'll ever do. Like it's the only thing I'll ever do. Like it's the only thing I'll ever do. Oh, yes, I walk through fire for you. Like it's the only thing I'll ever do.
About her experience on The Voice back in 2021. So yeah, let's add Raine in and have a chat with Raine.
What's
Hello,
up?
Rain. How's it
Hi,
going?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, really good, thanks. I just want to say first up, thank you so much for taking the time to join my show. It's such an incredible pleasure having you on today.
Oh,
For
thank
people
you.
that don't know who you are, Rain, if you give like a bit of backstory about yourself, and then we'll dive right into the questions.
Well, so I'm a musician. Am from Wisconsin. I'm a multi-instrumentalist. A lot of people know me for my guitar playing, though, as my primary instrument. But honestly, more than just being a musician, I would honestly consider myself a poet. Lyricism, I think, is like one of my strongest attributes. Um, I've always been very passionate about like causes such as like equality or protecting the earth. So kid, I didn't know that I wanted to be a musician, but I did know that I wanted to be an activist of some sort. And then I realized when I picked up guitar and had started writing poetry that I had a really strong voice for storytelling. So that's my method for talking about like things like that.
So I'll dive right into the questions now, Rain. So for my very first question, in 2021, you were actually on a show called The Voice. What was like your whole like what was like the whole experience like for you getting to be on The Voice? Like what was like the main experience like for you?
Um, I think it was odd for me because um I never like saw myself doing something like that. And I'd always had like people in the audience after my shows come up to me and say, "You should go on The Voice, you should go on American Idol, you should go on X Factor, whatever." And it's not that it's not like I didn't think I was like good enough to do something like that. I just didn't think it was like on brand for me. Largely because I especially The Voice and American Idol, I just didn't really consider myself a singer first. I really considered myself like an artist and a writer and a producer who learned how to sing, taught myself how to sing in order to like sing those stories. But when and there are other songwriters and artists who go on shows like that. But yeah, I was definitely. I even had other contestants come up to me and say, like, "You're the weirdest person here, just so you know." And I was like, "I'm well aware." And they would say, like there's nobody else, especially no young women on a show like this that like play guitar like that and that write and arrange their own stuff. So another thing is being on The Voice. Other people would have like The Voice write their arrangement for them that they were going to perform, and it's not that they would have them, I suppose. It's just that that's like the way The Voice works. But hello everyone. But I actually did my own arrangements for all three of the performances, including my battle. So I even wrote and arranged the part that my battle partner ended up singing, which I don't think a lot of people know. And so, that's like a fun little fact there is that, I had actually written mine and Andrew's harmonies and like the whole arrangement of how it was gonna go. I did Electric Feel. Like I chose that song. I was the last person to get my song out of all of the contestants. So, you know, we were already like, I was already selected to be somebody who was going to audition at that point. But they're going through and they give you like a roster of like so many songs that, you know, The Voice has bought the rights to. And then they basically say like, sing one of these. And I had made like a list of about a dozen songs. And the song that they ended up wanting me to do was Blame It on the Boogie by Jackson 5. And the reason for that is because they were saying your voice is so androgynous, like you can kind of sound like a young Michael Jackson. That's really cool. And then I was like, yes, but I also don't feel like I get to really showcase like the artist that I am with that, because there's only 90 seconds. And that song is so fast that it's like, how does it go? It's like dun 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 dun, you know. And so it moves so quick that like you never really have a moment to breathe and like showcase anything. So I was like, actually, I took my computer with me and a microphone and everything, and I recorded what I wanted to do for Electric Feel, and I sent it to them, and I said, no, we're gonna do this. And I was just very assertive with what it was that I wanted. And also for my story, because as anybody who knows, who watches the show, like they tend to have like a sob story for every person. I really didn't want a sob story on the show. I wanted to be a real person. I didn't want people to like pity me or anything like that, you know? I was like, I want the thing that people relate to be like my strength and my courage, and for that to be the main source of inspiration. But they wanted to, I was hit by a car when I was 10 years old, and I like shortly picked up writing, poetry, and then playing guitar after that. And they were like, oh, so you like got hit by this car and then that caused you to be able to like play guitar that way. And I was like, no, that's not. I fast forward through all the story and just watch performances. Yeah, well, so yeah, I mean, like that's like, we got to get to that anyways. But I do think like background stories are, you know, cool to get to know people. But I digress. So yeah, I write and arrange everybody's parts. I think that was something that set me apart. And, you know, Darren Criss, who was the guest coach for Nick Jonas on the second episode, he was just like, he could very clearly tell that I was like the mind, the brain in that situation that was writing everything. And he ended up actually hitting me up after the show and was like, you're really cool, you're really smart, you should work together at some point. So we'll see where that goes. But anyways, yeah, what's your next question?
So onto that, because you mentioned Darren Criss, what was it like getting to meet Darren Criss in person? Because he's very well known. Whoever don't know, he's from Glee. What was it like getting to meet Darren Criss?
That was like one of my favorite people to meet on the show. Largely sad story, unfortunately. Yeah. So yeah, you guys get it. Darren seemed to really like me. He said, I think 3 times, that I have a lot of swag and that he would like me to, like, he's like, where can I sign up for your swag lessons? Which if you guys want to know what I'm talking about, there's black hair. Yeah, he's got darker hair. He's like, I know that, I think he might be part Filipino and like white, like his parents are, what was his name? His real name is Darren Criss, and I think he was
Blaine from Glee.
Was it like Blake or Blair or something like that? Blaine.
Yeah, Blaine.
Like
yeah.
From the show. Yeah, he was like in the Warbles or something like that, I think.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, no, he's a really cool guy. He's like really down to earth. And I think that he, you know, recognized that same quality in me. So yeah, I mean, like, I could give you my order of like most to least favorite people that I met while I was there if you'd like, but
If you could, that would be awesome.
Just because I think that most people are like, everyone's amazing. I like everybody. Everybody's the same. Everybody's equal. And I'm just like, well, not everybody's intentions are the same. Not everybody has the same life experiences. Not everybody can relate to you as much, you know? So, like, I would say Darren Chris, probably number one. And then I actually really liked Kelly because she was so blunt. In the last episode that actually ended up getting like nixed from the show and ended up not getting aired, it was because it, like, you know, The Voice is like a very family friendly show, but what was like taking place was not as probably family friendly as what they wanted it to be, because the coaches usually like friendly, light pick, like banter with each other. On my episode, they were like fighting. And I was like, this is going to be awesome. I can't wait for this to air. And then I thought about it and I was like, they might actually end up cutting this. And then they did, which sucks because my last performance that I did was, I think, my best performance. But Electric Feel will live in perpetuity as like the performance that people know me for on that show, which is cool because it's a good performance. But my last one that I did was even better. And it was awkward. I mean, I really like Kelly because she said to the guy I was going up against in the knockout, she said, no offense, but I can think of 6 or 7 other people on the show that could give the performance you just gave. She's like, I cannot think. And by the way, you guys, I have like audio recordings and snippets, perhaps like not legally, but of like some of the things that were being said on the show. So at no point in time am I making up anything that I'm saying. So, and then she goes, okay, so I can think of 6 or 7 other people that gave the performance you just gave. She said, but I can't think of anyone in the history of the show that is like Raine. And she was like, think about it. Like, name like a 21, 22-year-old young woman who like shreds guitar like Prince, sings like that, and is like honestly just like super real and blunt and like doesn't care to like do the whole like kiss ass type thing, you know? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, name one.
Yeah.
There you go. See, that's exactly my point. So like, and so she recognized that, and so did like John Legend. So then John would be number 3. So we got Darren, Chris, Kelly, and then John. And John was like, yeah, dude, like, Raine's a real artist. Like, she's not the most technical singer. And I was like, you're absolutely right about that. I am not, which is why I didn't see myself coming on a show like this. But I am absolutely one of the most artists that has ever been on the show, like, undeniably. And there's just like it's just like a fact, because there's just like a lot of evidence for that. And there will continue to be, as I actually, like, I've had songs that I've been sitting on that I have producers in LA right now that are like, these are hits, like, why are they not out? And I've just been like, money, it's always money. But now I've got a little bit of support that I can, you know, make that happen and make that possible. So I will be putting that stuff out this year. Anyways, so yeah, John also wanted me to go through. And then, you know, Nick, he's pretty cool, but I'd say number 4. And then Blake Shelton. And I'll tell you why Blake Shelton's last. Because I know actually some insider information about people who've like toured with Blake Shelton, and we've like talked on the phone about him as a guy. People have said like, yeah, like, nice guy. And this one dude that I know, Tim, who I was talking to recently, he said, you know what my thoughts on Blake Shelton are? That guy's lucky, because he's not that good. Like, he's like, I've been in rehearsals with him. He's like, he's like, honestly, dude, he's like a super boring person, boring artist. Like, he's just got a team of writers, and like his songs, even though he has a team helping him with everything, are still not that good, you know? And I mean, I would agree. I'm not surprised by that information. But also, when I was like getting out on my last episode, right, Blake goes, okay, yeah, John, Kelly, whatever. He's like, but the show is called The Voice. It's not called The Artist. Like, Raine Stern might be the most well-rounded artist on this season, but like, she's not the technically best singer on the show. And I was like, yes, I wholeheartedly agree with you. And then Kelly goes, I shit you not, because you guys didn't get to see any of this. She goes, flustered. She goes, right, but the person who wins the show is supposed to be an artist. And she was like, and in the history of the show, nobody who's ever won the show has ever like really risen to fame and like done something great with it. And I think there's several reasons for that. I think one, it's like the way the contracts are made. I don't think it's like really a priority of theirs to like build an artist. I think that they mostly just like want to use their contestants as like pawns on their chessboard to like make NBC's The Voice a lot of money. But the show ultimately ends up being about the coaches, because if you think about the airtime that like these individuals are getting in compare like relative to the coaches, it's like it might be like half or maybe even less than half, which is messed up because there's like you've got like 40 of them over here and then 4 of them over here, and yet they're sharing like equal screen time. Do you know what I mean? Like, how can you possibly get to know these contestants who are real full-fledged people with lives and stories and like are you know trying really hard to get their name out there? And the show, and like at the end of the day, you get to the end of the series and you don't really know a whole lot about them. Well, there's a reason for that, because they choose not to tell you a whole lot about you, you know? So yeah, that was like an interesting moment. Yeah, I mean, yeah, so those are my order. Like that's my order right there.
I love that. So on to my very next question. So what was your like all-time favorite song to perform on The Voice? And if you could have performed the song like any song on The Voice, what other song would you wanted to perform on The Voice and why?
So I think the last song that I did, which was No Such Thing by John Mayer, which didn't get aired, was my favorite one to perform. And then Electric Feel, and then Adore You. Adore You last for a few reasons. One, I like that song, but like I do better like when I get to pick the song and when I'm able to like connect to the song. And I just was having a really hard time connecting to that song. Two, they ended up dropping the song, the key of the song, like 2 whole steps, so that Andrew could sing it because it was too high for him. But then it was too low for me. So then it was just one of those situations where I was just like, it definitely felt like favoritism, like unfairly, because I was like, dude, like this is not working for me either. Maybe we should just scratch it and do something else. And so then the whole stress of the situation, like caused me to get more sick than I already was. Just a fun fact, when I was performing my blind audition, I had 4 like canker sores lining the inside of my lips at that time. I had to like go into the bathroom before getting on stage and like use like a numbing ointment on the inside of my mouth, so I couldn't feel my mouth while I was singing that song. So like when you consider like all of that that's going on, like, you know, which are details that they don't care to tell people, because somebody said you should have just played a guitar solo. That's funny. I know. So actually, they were like, I think Darren and Nick were both expecting like me and Andrew to play guitar on Adore You, and they thought that like he was gonna play acoustic and I'd play electric, and I actually was, I suppose, the idiot that was like, it was like, nah, I think we should just sing, you know, like we can both have good enough stage presence just doing that. And that's fine, because like I don't need a guitar as a crutch in order to perform. But yeah, it was just like messed up because they dropped the key. Anyways, the song I would have done on the show if I had gone on one more round was actually Purple Rain by Prince. And I was fully intending for the lives on doing the na 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 na, like that whole solo, and singing. So, and I think that would have done really, really well. Like, can you imagine like that video, like executed really,
That
really
would have been
well?
amazing.
I never meant to cause you any trouble. Na 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 na. Never meant to cause you anything. You know, like that would have been sick. So yeah, definitely got robbed there, which Kelly like knew. As I was walking off the stage, she leans over her chair and she goes, "Raine, I'm so pissed I already used my steal because like," and then she said, "'Cause bluntly, like you deserve it more than the person I gave it to." And I was like, oh shit, like, it's like, here's the thing. Some people might not like the fact that I'm sharing this information because it sounds like shitty, but also it's the truth. Like,
Yeah,
would you rather like me just blow smoke up your ass, or would you rather that I'm honest with you all the time?
honest.
I see,
Hon-
that's what I prefer. But I also like, I can tell that there's this like culture on social media and on the internet that is surrounded about like, hey, life already sucks, just make me feel good, just entertain me, make me feel good, just make me feel good, distract me, make me feel good. And I'm like, I don't want to do that, because what I'd rather do that, because me distracting you from your feelings is not me loving you. Me like helping you get in more touch with your feelings, and then you being able to like use that as a tool to make your life better, uh is the thing. She said that somebody said, even if honesty could cost you your fame. Um, I mean, that's the tricky part, right? Is like walking that fine line, and it kind of intrigues me as to why it is that like people don't want honesty. Like, so I'm curious what this person has to say. Like Jonas Wright or something. Maybe I said that wrong, but like, why would you think that that is? Like, why is it that people want you to be dishonest? Because I have seen like a plethora of ways uh, that people have come up, and some of it's bullshit and some of it's honesty. So like, to me, it's like more dependent on like your brand. Like, is your brand centered around like peacocking, or is your brand centered around like cutting through the bullshit and being like, here it is? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
So on to my very next question for you,
yeah,
Rain. So we'll dive right into the songs of that you have created, like the original songs. So with the first original song I'm going to name is the song, if I can say this right, jeez. Okay, So I'm not. Uh, sorry about this. Give me
you're good.
2 seconds. So yeah, the I'm Not Them
Yeah.
was such a fantastic song, I have to say. Whoever hasn't heard of I'm Not Them, what was it like creating I'm Not Them? And yeah, like what was like how did you come up with the idea of creating this song, and what's the meaning behind this song?
Thank you for that question. So, that song is a song I wrote when I was 15, actually. So that song was already like 7 years old when I put it out.
That's cool.
And I wrote that song about various relationships that I had with my family and friends, and even people I was dating in high school. And it's honestly about like going through a hard time with um, various people, and like, say like you go through a breakup, and or your friend is going through a hard time, and that person expects you to suddenly fall off the edge of the world, and to not be there for them, or to not talk to them, or to lose your integrity. This whole thing where it's like, oh well, the second that you're not serving me, then I no longer care to like be here for you, or to like be a decent person. Well, that was just like a fear that I saw these other people having, and I was like, I'm not like those people. I'm not them. Like, just because we're going through a rough patch doesn't mean that, I'm just suddenly going to lose my integrity in the situation. So that's like ultimately the bare bones meaning of what that song is. But as anyone who has seen the music video, where I dress up as like Stevie Ray Vaughan and Prince, and like your lesbian fantasy, like the point of that video was to show people like what is an experience that I have regularly playing at my shows. And an experience that I get is people trying to like desperately to like to figure me out, and to like to compare me to people. Like, people would come up to me all the time and be like, you're like Jeff Buckley. And I remember distinctly being like, who is that? Or people would, even when I was like 16, 17, people would be like, you're kind of like Prince. And I forgive me, at that time I was like, what are you talking about? And so uh yeah, people would try to compare me all the time. And the other thing is like Stevie Ray Vaughan. Yes, I was guitar like inspired by him growing up, but tell me that my music sounds anything like Stevie Ray Vaughan. It
You,
doesn't. It doesn't. So it's like it would be a really far stretch to be like I'm Not Them sounds like Texas Flood, because it does not. Like Texas Flood has 4 chords in it. I'm Not Them has like 12 or 13. Like I'm Not Them is like an alternative pop rock song. It's like with like jazz inspiration. You know what I mean? Like I guess. But that's the thing, is I wrote that song when I was 15. I didn't have music theory knowledge. I'm one of those people that like goes off of feeling and sound. And so I was like, sometimes I hear people don't believe me. Sometimes people be like, how do you write your music? And I'm like, okay, get this. I've said it a million times. I'll say it again. It is like my ears are unplugged enough for me to hear something that's already taking place in the universe. And it's almost like I just go voop, 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 and like zoom in and download it. And I'm just like translating something. So
I have to say, by the way, Rain, I love all your music that you've created. Like
thank you.
so soulful and very creative as an artist. And to people that haven't heard of Rain's songs, definitely go check them out. Definitely go hear them. Support amazing artists like Rain, because we need more amazing artists like you in this world, and you're an inspiration. I just want to say that.
Thank you.
No, you're all good.
And yeah, something that like, if I'm being super vulnerable, because, like, fuck it. Like, if honesty is not something that does well in this industry, then, like, what am I supposed to say? Like, I've been so depressed, beating myself up for so long, because I just keep overthinking, like, putting the music out. And it's not because it's not good. And it's not because it's not, like, it's literally because I'm like, oh shit, like, I come from nothing. I have nothing. Like, there are so many people who would look at something like I'm Not Them and look at the music video and be like, you obviously have help. And I'm like, I literally paid for all of that, and I recorded the entirety of that song in my bedroom. So if anybody is under the impression that I have help, you're just wrong. Like, I'm out here entirely on my own. And it's like fucking hard, because I have some incredible art to give you. It's not just content. Like, it is art through and through, like, to its core. And the other thing too is that, like, it has mass appeal. Like, I just played, like, I'm Not Them for this, like, adorable Asian woman who was giving me a ride home, like, in an Uber from LAX recently, right? And she was just like, I love this. It's like, there's not like a race or gender or age that, like, my music specifically appeals to, because it's timeless. It's like pop, right? But it's also like alternative, and it's alternative because you can't compare it to anything that you've ever heard. But there's like this nostalgia and this feeling of familiarity, which means that it's going to have been good 5 years ago. It'll be good now, and it'll be good forever. Like, that's what music should be. And if it's not that, then why are you making it? Because, like, this industry is already so saturated. I've met so many people. I might end up start writing a song, like, music for this one girl, this artist out here. But if I'm being honest, she's not an artist, guys. Like, she has the label artist in the same way that, like, somebody signed to Sony might be called an artist, but they have songwriters and producers who are making the art, right? And at this point, it might not even be art. And so it's like, you have to remember that you don't just vote when you go to the ballot. Like, you're voting when you spend your dollar at the gas station, and you're also voting when you like something and share something online. Like, you are choosing what it is that you believe in every time you do that. That is what that is. That's the weight that holds. And that might seem like a lot of pressure. I'm not trying to put pressure onto you. I'm just telling you, like, have that awareness at the bare minimum. Because so back to my honest feelings about where I'm at right now. It's like, I spend all the time being like, I have been a live performer for a really long time. And what good did that really do for me? Like, I wish that, 3 or 4 years ago, and my friend was like, yeah, you should maybe like get on TikTok. And at the time, TikTok was like, it was like basically the replacement for like Musical.ly, which was just people like lip syncing to stuff. And I was like, why on earth would I do that? You know what I mean? And it's like, and then I've continued to be that. My mother always told me when I was a kid, she'd be like, you are like a little, like you have this flame inside of you that just burns always. She was like, but be careful, because other people who do not will come and try to warm their hands around you and stifle that flame, on purpose or not. Like even people who love you. And that's like an honest warning for anybody who's like got goals of theirs, is like, don't let, here's the other thing. Yeah, somebody just goes, it's time to start a band. Dude, it blows my mind. It blows my mind that I have played my music with other people and they'll be like, this is some of the best music I've ever played. This is like challenging and yet still like relatable. Like people are not like the like audiences of people are like, this feels like pop music to me. But then like musicians will be like, holy shit, I really need to like sit down and try to learn this. This is actually difficult. That's awesome. Like that is like the best kind of music in my opinion. It's where it's like that's like a Michael Jackson song from the 80s where you're like, this is challenging, but it's still like pop and danceable. You know what I mean? So what I'm trying to say is I've had bands before. Like I've had musicians play with me. For whatever reason, it is always everyone else that sees the magic and sees what's going on. And the people that are the closest to me don't get it. My mother, the other day on the phone, was literally like, yeah, like I knew you were really good when you were like 15, 16 years old, but I didn't realize like just how special you were or just how good you were until like people who've like played with Adam Levine are like, holy shit, this girl is more talented than 90+% of the people in the music industry right now. She was like, it took everybody else telling me that my own kid was good for me to realize that my own kid was good. And I was like, what the hell? Like Taylor Swift's dad, billionaire. Doja Cat's dad, connected to people who are on Broadway. Like anybody you want to think of for the most part, like is a product of nepotism. And so like it is possible to do it without that. But it's just like, you know what I mean? Like too bad metal musicians don't get that kind of respect. Yeah, no, and same thing with like here's what I'll say about metal music. Yes, metal is great, but also like metal is also a niche because it also constricts itself. Like metal does not allow itself to feel like a lot of other things. And I think that the same thing for a lot of like dance pop music is a lot of that kind of music is like too it's too like, oh, anger is my sound, or sadness is my sound, or like fuck it, like numbness is my sound. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, why limit yourself to that? Like I wouldn't call myself, the reason I call myself like alternative pop rock timeless is because it's like, honestly guys, like what is my sound? Like and the more that you hear the different stuff that I'm going to release, the more you're gonna be like, okay, well that's more pop. But then like, holy shit, this is like a folk song that like halfway through turns into like a screamo metal song. Like who is Raine? And that's because I am not a genre. And like at the end of the day, like I'm not even just this like physical medium. Like I am just here like as a vessel for like, here's the story. And like, screw me. Like what is the story supposed to be? What does the story need? Because if I'm too focused on who I am to be like, what is the truth? Then I might never be able to tell you that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's why, like, when it comes to me writing songs and making art, it's like hard for me to explain. Like I was just on the phone with my girlfriend today, who's back home in the Midwest, and she was like, we're talking about it. She's like, yeah, people sometimes will not believe you. She's like, but it is just true. I have just sat down and next to you and watched you go, I've got it. Here it is. And you just make it in like an hour, the whole thing. Not the guitar part, not the lyrics, not the production, not the music video, but all of it at once. And I don't like, and that's not me. I'm literally, guys, hear me. I am not being like, I'm not like stroking my ego here. I'm just saying, like, if you want to understand me, that's my honest truth. I can't, I don't want to like pretend anymore that it's anything other than that, you know? So sorry. Anyways,
No, oh, good. You're fine. You're fine.
Hear ye.
I love that. So onto my next question. Young and Seeking, like another incredible song. What was it like creating this one, and what's the meaning behind Young and Seeking?
Okay, so actually, you know, people have not asked me about this song yet, so thank you for doing that. Young and Seeking Rest. I wrote this song 3 years ago, and this song is about me feeling like I'm too much for people, always. Like, to this day. I have felt this way since I was a tiny child. So when I sing in that song, like, since I was 10, I was convinced I'd be alone. Well, that's just true. Like, it's just like me saying, hey guys, like, since I was like only 10, 11 years old, I was like, I'm gonna be alone. And because other people can't relate to me. Like, I end up being too much for people. Like, I'm super intense, but it's not to say that I'm like only intense and only serious. Like, I'm also like a total goofball, but like that song is about me expressing my honest like loneliness and sadness, and also talking about like dissociating. So like, have you ever, for anybody in the chat, like for anybody who's ever, you know, had a relationship or been in a moment where you feel like obligated to just like kiss this person who like clearly wants you to kiss them, and like, but it's not, you're not in it with them, it's like for that person, and you're just like giving it to them, and you just like, but inside you're like thinking about other things, and you're like numb or separated from the moment. And that's why I wrote this honest lyric where I was like, guess I'll just like take my mom's sedative and basically hope that tomorrow like I feel something, you know? So that song is like oh, and then what's the bridge for that song? Well, like, you've just got to see something new. And it's like, you know, people coming up to me and being like, hey kid, like, you're fine, like everything's fine, like you just got to get a fresh perspective on shit. And I'm like, all right, cool, let me go and do that. And then, you know, like, you get in your car and you go home, and like you get an Amber Alert, and it's like some kid just got abducted, and you're like, maybe actually you guys need to pull your head out of your ass, or like pull your head out of the sand, and maybe I'm not wrong for like being sensitive and being like affected by what's around me, you know? So it's like this kind of dichotomy between, do I bury my head in the sand for like my own peace of mind, like ignorance is bliss, or do I like try to bring the world up to speed, and like we all like march into battle as one, you know what I mean? Like, which is it? Or is there a healthy in between? Maybe there's not.
I love that. So on to my very next question for you, Raine. So practice
Negligence, yeah.
Yeah, negligence. I love that. What was it like creating this one, and what's the meaning behind this one?
You know, practice negligence was like me kind of messing around with guitar tones and Logic for like the first time, because this song will be like 4 or 5 years old now soon. I came up with that. So it was just another situation where I sit down and I'm playing a chord progression. Okay, pretty. Let's like, you know, mess with it. And then I kind of like, you know, had this loop going. And then I was like, I'm going to sing something to this. And I found a poem that I had already written from a failed relationship from like a year before. And I went to my notes app, pulled it out, and I was like scrolling through, looking at stuff. Nope, nope. Oh, yep, here we go. And I found that poem, and it's so short. Like, it's really simple. If you listen to Practice Negligence, there's not a lot of words, but the words that are there really paint a picture. I really like the second verse. Do you tell your father of the long nights? Does he even bother to understand the fights? Would you rather look in the mirror? Try it that way to see all the things clearer. And that was about this relationship that I had where this girl's dad didn't like me. His name is Brian, and I could just tell he never liked me. But part of that was because I could tell that there was just like no communication. There was no understanding about the nature of our relationship and why it was the way it was. And, you know, when you're that young, when you're like 17, 18, 19 years old, like when this relationship was taking place, and you're somebody's parent, you might not give a shit what the nature of the relationship is. You're just like, how is this affecting like my kid? That's it. But then being in the relationship and also being affected by the relationship, I'm like, dude, you don't even know what your daughter's like. Like, she is cold, brother. And that's partially because you are cold. And so, yeah, that was like my way of expressing that. And then after I sang that, the solo was one take. I did that solo in one take, and it was just my honest, because sometimes when words fail, like music speaks. And so I love guitar solos because I feel like I have a lot to say, as if you guys couldn't already tell. And I love poetry, but that is just still not enough. And so I did that solo because I really felt like it expressed the anguish of that relationship and that experience that I was going through.
Awesome. I love that. So on to our very next question. So what made you decide as a person and especially as an artist to get into the whole music scene in the first place?
That's a good question. I think it's something that when you have it and you have so much to say, and then when you recognize, like, you just like can't stop. Like it becomes you, and it is like my every fiber of my being needs to and wants to express and play music and connect to people. And I also realized that when I was starting to play out, that I was constantly having these profound experiences with people. People would come up to me and say, yeah, I had a stroke and I had to have brain surgery and I'm having a hard time talking, and I was like planning on killing myself at the end of this week. But I watched you play, and on top of like the absolute vulnerability and pure magic of your art, it was also the fact that you would trip over a cable and make fun of yourself in between songs and laugh and then keep going. And I realized that my honesty and my almost like unassuming nature, I don't like get so in my head that I'm perfect. Like, I'm not perfect. I'm not a perfect performer. Like, and I don't care to be. And I don't mean that like my music or my notation isn't good. Like, I might play the perfect solo. Cool. But as a person, like, if you ever come to my shows, when you guys come to my shows, you'll realize and see that I have been and always will be just like in the moment. And so if there's something that I see like that's going on, like, I'll comment on it. So yeah, that's something that I was realizing, is that I have a lot to say, and that it's very healing and very powerful. So honestly, there's a part of me that's like, how dare I not like use my powers for good if I have the ability to, you know?
Love that. So on to my very next question. On to that, what does performing music like mean to you, like especially as an artist?
What is performing music? What exactly? Sorry.
Mean to you,
Means
like especially as an artist? Yeah.
it means that on a simple level, that I have something incredible to look forward to. On a deeper level, it means that I will be able to provide people with like love and truth and joy. Like I want to move you and move you. I hope that you're moving around and dancing, and I hope that you're also moved inside. And I just played Des Moines Pride Fest this last Saturday, and I sobbed. Like we finished our last song, and I was just standing on the stage, and everyone was screaming, and I was just like crying. And then they started screaming louder, of course. But because there's just like not enough people doing what I do in the way that I do it. And dude, I don't even know how to articulate what getting to play live like means to me. It's like my life purpose. My life purpose is to experience the world, translate it into a healing medium, and then go and deliver that medium to people. Like that's so it means, in a way, it means everything to me. It's like part of the Holy Trinity, like the experience, the creation, and the deliverance. So it's like the delivering is the part where like is the action, right? The experience is like the meditation. The creation is, I guess, the second part of the meditation. But it's like the magic, the wizardry, you know, sitting inside and stewing your brew. And then the performance is the part where you get to go and you get to like give that to people. So yeah, it's fucking everything to me. Like I would rather, if somebody said like you can either like be a billionaire or perform every day for the rest of your life, I'd be like, oh, hands down, perform every day for the rest of my life, like easily. If I never saw a dollar pass through my hands ever, but I was able to eat and live and make art and share it with as many people as possible, I'm satisfied. I don't need anything else. Like I don't crave having stuff. I really don't. Like the only kind of stuff I want is like tools that help me like create more opportunity and experiences. Like my drum set. Like I love that stuff, but only because it creates an emotion. If it didn't do that for me, then throw it away. Like give it to someone else. So yeah.
I love that. So on to our very next question. So if you could take your music anywhere, any country, where would you want to go to and why?
Oh wow. You know, somebody just comments guitars in the chat. Are you from New Zealand?
No, Australia.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so one of my favorite like female producers who I was turned on to by Lydia, my partner, is Kimbra, who like spends most of her time in New Zealand. I'm pretty sure is from there. I just like, as a person who is a lover of nature, like I would love to go to New Zealand just to like, because that's like where like Lord of the Rings was filmed and stuff like that. And when you look at the like those movies, just unbelievably gorgeous place. But in terms of people, like I will go anywhere that I will be had, that I know that I will be heard, and that we can like love each other. Like I can love you and you can love me. Like I'll go anywhere. I don't care if it's the desert. Like I don't care if it's the dude. A goal of mine. And so, you know, hey guys, I'm not gonna say don't steal this idea from me because it's really difficult to execute. And if you're able to do it, honestly, props to you. But I would love to like go and play on top of a shipping container in the middle of like you know, like the ocean, outside of a mega fishing area where you've got like thousands of boats around, just absolutely destroying the ecosystem, and go up there and just like sing about it, and then just like take a drone and film the whole thing. So like, where do I want to play? Like I'll play on the moon if they'll have me. Like I'll play anywhere that draws attention to my message, not to me, but like to my message. Like, yeah, sure, give me a pat on the back, but at the end of the day, like take what I have to say and run with it. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
So yeah, like I'll play anywhere that work is done, and created. And so yeah, that's it. Like wherever you'll have me, take me.
Awesome. I love that. So on to our very next question. So if you could work with any top three music artists in the music industry that you vibe with the most, who would you want to work with and why?
Oh my goodness. Okay, I think you sent me this list of questions, but I honestly had not thought about that question yet. So, okay. For different reasons, for completely different reasons. Somebody goes, Metallica is watching now. Pressure's on. Metallica, of course, number one. I'll take Metallica, guys. Okay. So I've got this song called Revere Me. Okay, Jake, I feel called out. Hold on, dude. I'm intentionally not saying John Mayer first because I don't want it to be obvious. Jesus, give me a break, dude. Hear me about like queer empowerment, and I would love for there to be like a rap on the second verse by an artist who's like a queer artist. So, like honestly, just like a badass like queer female rapper would be really cool on that. But obviously, like somebody with a lot of clout, like Lil Nas X or something, on that song would be sick. You know, because at the end of the day, I guess you have to respect like his audacity. And then, you know, okay, fine, like we'll just say it, like, yeah, I think John Mayer's an incredible guitar player, and I would be over the moon to be able to, you know, like be on stage with that guy and you know, do some harmonized licks. That'd be just epic. Can you imagine? Oh, that'd be great. And I also think he's a great songwriter, but like I think if he was as good of a songwriter as he is and not as good of a guitar player, I wouldn't be quite like such a mega fan. I would be like, I would like his stuff, but then if he wasn't the one playing his guitar solos, I would want to know who was. You know what I mean? Like if I heard like Gravity live at Nokia Theater and it wasn't John playing that solo, I would be like, okay, that guy's great, but who did that? and I would like research that person, and then I'd be that person's fan. 3. Okay. So who would my third person be? I think that me and a band like the 1975 would write a really cool song together. So, okay, so Lil Nas X because of like his audacity and his personality, John Mayer because of his guitar playing, and the 1975 because I like their like songwriting. So yeah, there you go. Those are my 3,
Yeah.
and for
I
those
love
reasons.
that.
So very different reasons.
That. Yes. So on to my very next question. So with song covers, what would be your like all-time song cover to perform and why?
Ooh. You know, okay, so I mentioned this person earlier, so thank you to whoever years ago came up to me after a show and was like, yeah, also guys, like answer these questions too. Feel free to answer these questions. I'm curious what you would say. Somebody came up to me and was like, you like feel like Jeff Buckley when you sing. And which is a huge compliment now that I know who that is. And I've like, I'm definitely a Jeff Buckley fan now. So there's a song, please, everyone, do yourselves a favor and go and check out the song. What is it? It's a Jeff Buckley song, like I Ran or something like that. Oh, I'm going to butcher it. Just type in "The Moon Got Full Like a Plate" by Jeff Buckley, because that's one of the lyrics, because I can't remember what the song is called. But oh my god, like his vocals on that song, I would do a rendition of that song and then just like add a sick solo to it. That song is so cool. Is that my final answer for now? Yes, but I know for a fact there's other songs that I've thought about and I just can't think of at the moment that I would do a cover of. But yeah, that one's a good one.